Part 148. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1471. Chapter 1471 June Chennai Extra Chapter, 86. Where to? Little Cherry was stunned in place for a while. A while ago, she and June Chennai had been photographed by the media in many loving photos. Little Cherry knew clearly that they were staged photos, but everyone didn't think so, and instead kept taking photos. They said that this couple was so sweet, and many CP fans said that June Chennai had found his true love, that's why he was so kind to Little Cherry. And only Little Cherry understands what it tastes like. However, since the last incident, Madame June has never caused trouble for Little Cherry alone. Perhaps June Chennai persuaded her, or Madame June felt that the two of them could not reach the end, so she did not intervene again. It's their business. On the other hand, Xiaoying Tao was constantly being questioned by the members about her relationship with June Chennai. Most of the time, Xiaoying Tao was prevaricating. What else could she say? It was all nonsense. If she accidentally let it slip, she would point out. Maybe there will be some trouble. Therefore, she felt that it was useless to talk more. Even to the members with the closest relationship, she would not say a few more words. Little Cherry took a deep breath. The recent period has been really tiring for them. They are preparing for the new album. They have to stay in the recording studio for a long time every day and learn new dances. When they go back every day, they are all falling apart. They just want to take a shower and go to bed early. Because June Chennai said he had something to do in the evening, Xiaoying asked for leave, but at around 7 o'clock, June Chennai didn't come. Little Cherry leaned on the sofa alone, and gradually fell asleep without knowing why. When June Chennai arrived, Little Cherry had already leaned on the sofa and slept for a long time. June Chennai looked at the girl's sweet sleeping face and walked towards her. Xiaoyang followed June Chennai step by step without saying a word. June Chennai walked up to Xiao Tao Tao and sat next to her. Then he took off his suit jacket, covered Xiao Tao Tao's body, and watched her sleeping. Xiaoyang took a breath. Actually, he really wanted to ask the CEO what kind of bad taste is this? Spying on others sleeping? Still smiling, sweetly. Xiaoyang turned around silently. Reject this bowl of dog food. Little Cherry fell asleep, leaning on June Chennai's shoulder, and then woke up suddenly. As soon as Little Cherry woke up, June Chennai's handsome and flawless face enlarged in front of her eyes. Little Cherry opened her eyes wide and stood up quickly. At this time, June Chennai's coat fell to the ground. Little Cherry bent down to pick it up again, and when she raised her head, she realized that June Chennai's face was no longer looking good. Boss, when did you come? Little Cherry straightened her somewhat messy hair. The way she just slept, she shouldn't be very ugly, right? She shouldn't be snoring, right? Little Cherry's brain was spinning rapidly at this moment, recalling how she fell asleep. Not long. June Chennai took the suit jacket handed over by Xiao Tao. Seeing the surprise on her face, he asked, "What's wrong? It feels like you've seen a ghost when you see me. Could it be that you were dreaming about me just now?" Little Cherry frowned and reacted for a long time before realizing that June Chennai's words were not a joke. "No, I don't dare." Little Cherry quickly answered. June Chennai's expression turned ugly for no apparent reason, and he looked at her. "Forget it, I won't talk to you anymore, let's go." June Chennai stood up as he spoke and walked out with his long legs, Little Cherry following closely behind him. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1472. Chapter 1472 June Chennai Extra Chapter, 87. With June Chennai's mismatch. Seeing his look, Little Cherry didn't know how to speak. The scene outside the car window became more and more prosperous. Little Cherry opened the window and asked June Chennai, "Where are we going?" "Go to eat." June Chennai replied calmly. Little Cherry turned her head and looked at him. "Eat? What to eat?" "You'll find out later." There was no unnecessary information on June Chennai's face. Little Cherry retracted her body, touched her belly and thought for a while. She hadn't eaten yet in the afternoon, and she was indeed hungry now. "Can I choose?" Xiaoying Tao suddenly turned away, stared at June Chennai, and asked. June Chennai met her eyes. "I want to eat hot pot." June Chennai frowned. "Or you can skip hot pot and have a buffet instead." June Chennai looked at her with a cold face. "Do you think I will take a special time to take you out to eat these things?" Little Cherry said with a drooped face, "Then what shall we eat?" "We'll find out later anyway, you won't be hungry." When June Chennai said this, he glanced at Little Cherry's belly. It had just made a very discordant grunting sound, and it seemed that it was really hungry. The car stopped in front of a Western restaurant, and Xiaoying followed June Chennai in. This Western restaurant is the most famous one in the imperial capital. Not only is it expensive, but it is also very difficult to make a reservation. Generally speaking, you have to reserve a seat 1 month in advance. "Hello, Mr. June, please come this way." The waiter's attitude was also very good, and he talked to them with a smile along the way. Little Cherry didn't pay attention. She had been looking around to see what was so special about this legendary most upscale Western restaurant. Little Cherry and June Chennai entered a luxurious box. They were alone, and Xiao Liang did not come in either. Little Cherry looked at the menu in front of her, and her jaw dropped in shock at the prices. "Is this gold?" Little Cherry muttered in a low voice. "How can she sell it at such an expensive price? If one day she stops being popular, she will open a restaurant like this. It will be really super profitable." June Chennai had ordered the food, but Xiaoying was still hesitating about what to eat. "I've already ordered it." June Chennai knew that it would be difficult for her to choose. "Oh." Xiaoying closed the menu, and after the waiter left, Xiaoying Qing asked, "Why did you suddenly invite me to dinner today? And it was such a luxurious dinner." June Chennai slowly sipped a glass of red wine, noble and elegant, like a noble prince. It was then that Little Cherry noticed that June Chennai seemed different from usual today. Although he was also wearing a suit, this one seemed to be something he had never seen before and was new. June Chennai is a born clothes hanger, the kind who looks good no matter what he wears. Think about it for yourself, what day it is today. June Chennai's eyes flicked across Xiaoying Tao's face with a hint of disgust. "What day?" Little Cherry frowned and thought, and finally pulled out the calendar on her phone, but she couldn't remember what day it was today. June Chennai finally couldn't bear it anymore and said with a dark face, "This is the first time I met someone who forgot his birthday and couldn't even remember it." Little Cherry was startled. "Today is my birthday." June Chennai was confused by her reaction. "Isn't it? It is obvious that today's birthday is written on her ID card, is it still wrong?" End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1473. Chapter 1473 June Chennai Extra Chapter, 88. Xiaoying Tao looked at June Chennai who had a serious look on his face, and suddenly burst into laughter. "No, it's not my birthday today." "How could it not be?" June Chennai was a little angry. After preparing for him for so long, he told him that it was just a misunderstanding. "Isn't it written today on your ID card?" "That's good, but my birthday is on the lunar calendar." June Chennai stopped talking, took a sip of wine, and his eyes drooped, like a child who had been wronged. Little Cherry held her face and smiled, "Haha, boss, I didn't expect you to be so warm and want to celebrate my birthday." June Chania looked up at her but said nothing. He feels very uncomfortable now. Although today is not my birthday, I can celebrate it in advance, it's almost here anyway. No, the same. June Chania pursed his lips, looking depressed, and took another sip of wine. He was ready for everything, but it turned out to be a mistake, and he couldn't accept it. Then what do you think we should do? Little Cherry looked around, then said with a joking smile, "Will there be a birthday cake later?" Who would have thought that as soon as Xiaoying finished saying these words, Xiaoliang pushed the cake cart, and a group of people came over singing "Happy Birthday to you." Little Cherry was surprised and laughed, "Haha, do you want to be so punctual?" June Chania's face turned dark, and he held his forehead without looking. June Chania waved his hands towards them, signaling them to retreat. Xiaoliang and the others looked confused. Why haven't they made a wish to eat cake? Why don't you want it all of a sudden? What? Little Cherry stood up, puzzled, then smiled and said to them, "Come here." June Chania had a depressed face the whole time, watching the group of them singing "Happy Birthday," and then retreated. Little Cherry looked at the huge cake, smiled sweetly, and said to June Chania, "I have never received such a big cake before, thank you, boss." June Chania said nothing. He was still gloomily thinking that he had made a mistake. He should have checked more and not made the matter so embarrassing. Little Cherry saw that June Chania was not in a high mood, so she walked up to him, took his arm and asked him to get up and eat cake with her. "Hey, is the cake just wasted like this? But it doesn't make any sense anymore." "Why doesn't it make sense?" Little Cherry looked at the cake, her eyes shining brightly. "This is my first birthday since I was a child." June Chania was stunned. "Have you never celebrated your birthday before?" Little Cherry nodded. Although she was smiling, she was obviously holding back something. "When I was young, I couldn't afford to eat cake because I was poor. Later, I got used to it, so I stopped celebrating birthdays." Little Cherry looked at June Chania with a smile, "So you are the first person to wish me a birthday." June Chania didn't know what to say. He just stared at her, looking at the sparkling tears in the corners of her eyes. "Thank you, boss." The next second, Little Cherry stood up on tiptoes like a ghost, and kissed June Chania's lips gently. Actually, she regretted it after kissing him. She must have lost her mind at that time to take the initiative to kiss June Chania. However, June Chania looked really good looking under the candlelight, that's why she couldn't help but kiss him. June Chania didn't react at first, but when he did, he immediately hugged Little Cherry's waist and deepened the barely tasted kiss. Little Cherry's eyes widened. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1474. Chapter 1474 June Chania Extra Chapter, 89. The stars are shining outside, the candlelight is dim inside, and a bunch of beautiful figures become more and more moving at night. When June Chania let go of Little Cherry, the two of them silently said nothing. Little Cherry had her eyes wide open the whole time, her head lowered, sitting on her seat and looking at her toes. The scene just now played over and over in her mind. What did she just do? He kissed June Chania forcefully, and was kissed back by June Chania forcefully. So, she and June Chania kissed? She actually kissed June Chania. This is like a dream. No, she never dared to dream. Little Cherry has been in a trance. June Chania was also silent. He looked calm on the outside, but in his heart, he was no quieter than Little Cherry. He was also very restless. He forcefully kissed Little Cherry, but before he could express his love, Little Cherry didn't say she wanted to be with him, so why did he kiss her directly? However, it seems that the other party took the initiative, So Xiaoying Tao actually still likes him in her heart? Jun Chennai didn't dare to think too much. The two of them looked at the dishes on the table and looked at each other in silence. Cough cough cough. Jun Chennai coughed twice. Eat, doesn't it mean you're hungry? Jun Chennai took the lead in breaking the deadlock. You too, eat vegetables. Xiaoying Tao answered and pursed her lips. She just looked into Jun Chennai's eyes for a second, and then quickly looked away. His face became red and hot. After an awkward meal, Xiaoying and Jun Chennai went home. Along the way, the two of them had their backs to each other and neither of them said a word. Xiaoyang looked confused. What happened to these two people? However, Xiaoyang only dared to think so in his heart and did not dare to say it out loud. After returning home, Jun Chennai decided that since they had already kissed, let's make it clear. He must be responsible, otherwise wouldn't he become a hooligan? Well, I have something to tell you. Jun Chennai walked up to Xiaoying Tao, who was playing with her mobile phone. Although she was playing with her mobile phone, she was always very restless. Like Jun Chennai, she was still worried about the kiss. Jun Chennai came over suddenly. Little Cherry's heart skipped a beat. She looked up at him and her heartbeat began to speed up. What's up? Jun Chennai sat down next to Little Cherry, pondered over his expression, and finally decided to die early and be reborn, so he said, just now, that kiss. Oh, that's okay, I don't take it to heart, we are all adults, don't worry, I won't think too much. Little Cherry interrupted him, but what she said next made her hear the sound of a slap in the face in her mind. Jun Chennai raised his eyebrows, a little displeased. What do you mean? Are you saying that because everyone is an adult, you can kiss others casually? Little Cherry was confused by Jun Chennai's question. No. Isn't that what you mean? So how many people have you kissed? Small Cherry. Why did the topic come here? And looking at Jun Chennai's expression, is he serious? Answer my question directly. Jun Chennai became serious, and Little Cherry felt like he shot himself in the foot. What words she said with her broken mouth, and Jun Chennai's thinking, were a little too wild, right? No, it's my first kiss. Little Cherry's face turned red. She had never been in love, how could she have kissed so many people? I don't know if it was Xiaoying's illusion or something, but she seemed to make Jun Chennai smile after hearing her answer. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1475. Chapter 1475 Jun Chennai Extra Chapter, 90. Real. Jun Chennai curled his lips and smiled slyly. Little Cherry nodded in confusion, yeah. Little Cherry's next words were blocked by Jun Chennai's lips. Jun Chennai suddenly leaned down, grabbed the back of Little Cherry's head, and pried open the teeth. What followed was a long and delicate kiss. Little Cherry was dumbfounded the whole time. After Jun Chennai was satisfied, he reluctantly let go of the villain in front of him. Why did you kiss me? Little Cherry covered her red and swollen lips from being kissed by Jun Chennai and asked him. I will be responsible for all your kisses from now on. Jun Chennai did not answer Xiaoying's question, but said something that made Xiaoying difficult to understand. What do you mean? Little Cherry felt that her heart was about to jump out of her chest. Did Jun Chennai's words count as a confession? Otherwise, he wouldn't have kissed her just now. Jun Chennai is definitely not that frivolous person. Little Cherry was already panicking at this moment, and she didn't know what she was thinking about. Her whole heart was hanging and in a mess. Are you really stupid, or do you just don't want to understand? Jun Chennai was slightly annoyed, but he still patiently added, I like you, will you be my girlfriend? At this time, Little Cherry's brain was completely shocked. You like me, is it true or not? Why did she feel that this kind of liking came out of nowhere? How did June Chennai fall in love with her? Although you are not that good looking or gentle, sometimes people are so stupid that they are always confused, and sometimes I can't even try to persuade them. Small cherry. Is this a compliment to her or a disservice to her? Maybe there's something wrong with my own brain, but I just like you who are silly, and there are so many stubborn stupid girls coming out of nowhere. After June Chennai finished speaking, he stared at little cherry gently. It made the little cherry's heart melt. You have the right to remain silent, but you have no right to refuse me. June Chennai suddenly thought of something and added the sentence. Little cherry's face darkened. Is this considered blackmail? After all, you have been my girlfriend a long time ago, and people all over the country can vouch for it. Although June Chennai has a childish tone, he is serious. Those eyes reveal sincerity and there is no way to deceive others. But, as you said, I'm not that good, but you can obviously find someone better, and your mother doesn't like me either. As little cherry talked about it, she became more and more emboldened. Although she has never been in love, Xiaoying Tao also knows that relationships are not that simple, especially with June Chennai's background and family background. His feelings are destined not to be pure. There are too many things attached to them, and those things are things that little cherry cannot give. She likes June Chennai. But she can't be so selfish, and there is no way to be so selfish. June Chennai frowned. What do you want so much for? Just answer me whether you like me or not. You don't need to worry about other things. Little cherry pursed her lips and said nothing. Looking into June Chennai's clear eyes, there were obviously thousands of words in his heart, but at this moment, he couldn't say a word. If you don't say anything, I will kiss you. Small cherry. I like it very much. Ding. June Chennai's extra chapter has come to an end, and their subsequent stories will be guest appearances in Xiaofeng's extra chapter. Next extra rightward arrow. Extra chapter of Xiaofeng and his wife. Yu Lingfeng is going to gain weight. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1476. Chapter 1476 Extra chapter of Xiaofeng and his wife, 1. 6 years have passed since Yu Lingfeng left. In the past 6 years, Xia Ying traveled around the world and finally returned to China to settle down. Xia Ying and Ye Xiaoxun have not seen each other for 6 years. A week after Xia Ying came to China, she sent a message in the WeChat group saying that she wanted to get together with everyone. When Xia Ying sent out a message, the WeChat group that had been silent for a long time suddenly exploded. In the past few years, they had no news about Xia Ying. The only thing they knew was that Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng were traveling around the world, but no photos were leaked on their WeChat moments, and they couldn't be contacted. Just when they gradually forgot about these two people, Xia Ying finally got some news. Mom. Moved China. The missing persons are back. Mu Niankai was the first to see the message and reply. At first she thought she had seen it wrong, but she quit and looked again. After rubbing her eyes several times, she realized that it was really Xia Ying. Xia Ying, finally there is some news. In the past few years, she and Yu Lingfeng seemed to have disappeared. Even Xia Ying's parents didn't know anything about them. According to Luo Xin and Xia Chuanhai, Xia Ying would call them every month to report that she was safe. For the parents, this is enough. Although they cannot see them, it is a little comfort to know that they are safe. Woo woo woo, Xia Ying, you are finally back. I thought you had forgotten all of us. When Ye Xiaoxun saw the news, he was so excited that he knocked over his phone. This is not an exaggeration, When Yeziaksun saw what Xia Ying said, he immediately covered his face and started crying. She hasn't seen Xia Ying for a long time. In her memory, Xia Ying is still the same girl, as beautiful as a flower. The last impression Xia Ying left on them was that she dressed in white gauze and fluttering clothes as Yu Lingfeng's bride. That was their best memory of Xia Ying, but they never expected that it would become their last memory. Fortunately, Xia Ying finally came back after wandering around for many years. Ah! Xia Ying! Tang Guo excitedly pulled Chu Shengming aside, like a child. Chu Shengming glanced lightly. Although he couldn't see how excited he was on his expression, Tang Guo could see it from his eyebrows. Chu Shengming was also happy. He hadn't seen Xia Ying for a long time. That boy Yu Lingfeng is really too much. If I had known that he would take Xia Ying away for so many years, I shouldn't have married Xia Ying to him in the first place. Even though his words were cold, Chu Shengming still didn't forget to add, "Let Xia Ying ask Yu Lingfeng to call me and my nephew. I haven't seen my nephew yet." Chu Shengming only knew that Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng had a boy, but he had never seen it. It was really tiring to tell him. Okay, I'll tell you." Tang Guo responded, and then sent Xia Ying what Chu Shengming just said one by one. After a long time, Xia Ying didn't reply. At midnight, Xia Ying sent a time and place, but there was no other news. Several girls who had been excited for a long time began to worry again. Why do I feel like something is wrong with Xia Ying? Mu Niankai was the first to raise such a question in the group of the three of them, and Tang Guo and Yeziaksun immediately agreed. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1477. Chapter 1477 Extra chapter of Xiafeng and his wife, 2. Actually, I felt this a long time ago. Ever since Xia Ying married Yu Lingfeng, she has almost lost contact with us, and Xia Ying seems to be a different person. In other words, Yu Lingfeng really hasn't had any news for a long time. Xia Ying does call her parents, but it is said that Yu Lingfeng is silent every time. Xia Ying's parents have always been surprised by this. Real or false, little Candy, is what you said true? Did Yu Lingfeng really not have a phone call with Xia Ying's parents? Mu Niankai seemed to have discovered something terrible. She was so frightened that she held her breath and did not dare to take a big breath. Tang Guo then typed a reply, "Really, I heard what Chu Shengming said, and Chu Shengming also heard what they said during this period of time. Yu Lingfeng seemed to have evaporated from the world. Don't hit me if I tell you a guess." As soon as Mu Niankai said this, everyone already knew it, but they still waited for Mu Niankai to express the idea that no one wanted to admit or mention. Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng must be divorced. Otherwise, why are there no dynamics between the two of us? Even when Xia Ying was on the phone with her parents, Yu Lingfeng was not present. This was really strange. Apart from the reason of divorce, there seems to be nothing that can explain it. Perhaps they really traveled around the world at first, but then maybe there was some conflict and they parted ways. Otherwise, how could a normal couple behave in such an abnormal way? The group was silent for about 10 minutes, and Yeziaksun tremblingly sent out a sentence. But they obviously love each other so much. They have watched the relationship between Yu Lingfeng and Xia Ying all the way. They also see how much they love each other. How could they get divorced not long after they get married? Furthermore, they have a child. Then, could it be that something happened to Yu Lingfeng? Died for some reason? Although these words are scary, Yu Lingfeng is also a human being. Since he is a human being, he will inevitably have birth, old age, illness, and death. If it were not for divorce, then this would be the only possibility. After Mu Niankai sent this sentence, no one in the group replied for a long time. Yeziaksun finally said something to smooth things over. "Instead of guessing here, we might as well ask Xia Ying in person tomorrow. Since we can see Xia Ying tomorrow, we will know what the actual situation is if we ask then. Everyone reached an agreement and stopped talking. This night, everyone had a very restless night. Xia Ying made an appointment to meet them at an afternoon tea restaurant. When they were still studying at Taito University, they liked to eat in this restaurant. After so many years, Xia Ying came here again. Nothing had changed. There were still many young faces around, carrying school bags and coming here to eat. Looking at the smiles of the groups of young girls, Xia Ying seemed to see a few of them before. Mu Niankai, Tanguoer and Yeziaksun made an appointment to go there together. When they opened the door, they immediately recognized the beauty who was sitting in the corner but was still the most conspicuous among the crowd. Xia Ying has wavy black hair hanging behind her back. The sunshine outside the window shines in, and her hair exudes a soft and charming luster. Xia Ying reached out and tucked a few strands of hair behind her ears. Every move she made revealed a lazy and charming charm. Xia Ying turned her face sideways. Under the warm light, her skin seemed to shine like jade. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1478. Chapter 1478 Extra Chapter of Xiafeng and His Wife, 3. After so many years, Xia Ying is still the same Xia Ying. That fairy who moves her hands and feet with breathtaking beauty. Her long, ink-like seaweed hair, fair face, delicate facial features, and clear eyes when she smiles are so beautiful that it makes people enchanted. Even though Xia Ying has become a mother, she is no longer the national beauty Xia Ying she used to be. But compared with the college students around her, she is still young and there is no difference. As everyone watched, they felt that their steps were getting heavier and heavier, and the steps they took were too heavy to lift. Their eyes turned red in unison. They hadn't seen each other for a long time. They hadn't seen each other for so long. They couldn't express how moved they were when they saw Xia Ying was still the same Xia Ying in their memories. Xia Ying was looking at the menu carefully and didn't notice their approach. Everyone walked up to Xia Ying, and everyone wanted to call out Xia Ying, which they hadn't said for a long time. However, everyone found that their throats felt like 10,000 steel needles were stuck, and they couldn't say a word. Could only shed tears silently. Xia Ying realized something, raised her head, and saw several people who were already crying. Xia Ying laughed, and then cried. The three of them stepped forward and hugged Xia Ying. After a while of tenderness, everyone gradually calmed down. Everyone sat in a circle, still in the same position as before, and everyone sat in the same position. Everyone has changed, but nothing has changed. Xia Ying, how could you have been away for 6 years, how could you not come back to see us, why are you coming back now? I thought you would never come back again. You don't even know that every time the three of us go out, we will think of you, what you are doing at the moment, where you are, how you are doing, and whether you are missing us as much as we are. Sorry. Xia Ying choked with sobs and apologized. I promise you, when I come back this time, I will never leave again. Really? Yeziaksun asked hurriedly. Well, I'm not leaving. Xia Ying nodded. I have traveled all over the world. Now, I should think about what else I want to do in the rest of my life. Xia Ying, you still have your music, how could you just give up on your music dream? Tanguo reminded, looking particularly excited. Xia Ying is the most talented person in music she has ever seen, and she is also a disciple of world-class master Mo Desi. She is known as one of the greatest musicians in the 21st century. How can such a person give up music? In today's music industry, the most famous person is Stefan, Xia Ying's junior fellow student. By the way, after Xia Ying left, Stefan was also heartbroken. He could no longer see Xia Ying during winter and summer vacations. In order to commemorate Xia Ying, Stefan wrote many famous songs. There is even a song named directly after Xia Ying, dedicated to Xia Ying. Once dedicated to Xia Ying was published, it won numerous awards and was performed countless times by many music masters in various music halls and in various musical forms. It has remained popular for a long time. It has been voted the most popular musical work for 5 years. Xia Ying also burst into tears when she heard the word music. She spent 6 years adapting to Yu Lingfeng's departure, and now, she has gradually let go. If Yu Lingfeng never comes back, she must be strong and live seriously. Xia Ying showed a sweet smile. Of course, I will not give up music. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1479. Chapter 1479 Extra chapter of Xiafeng and his wife, 4. Very good. Hearing the news that Xia Ying said she was returning to the music industry, everyone was sincerely happy for her. They felt that the old Xia Ying was back. Xia Ying also smiled and drank the cappuccino she had loved for many years. She has never changed. What she liked and cared about before is still sticking to it now. By the way, Xia Ying, are you coming back alone this time, or are you Lingfeng and the others also coming back? Mu Niankai asked cautiously. Everyone also held their breath. The question they had always wanted to ask was finally asked. Everyone clearly felt the corner of Xia Ying's mouth twitching. Although it was a very slight movement, they could tell that Xia Ying seemed to have something hidden, and her eyes changed instantly. However, all this was a very short-lived thing. Xia Ying quickly answered them with an indifferent expression. Yu Lingfeng has something to do and cannot come back for the time being. This time Xiajin and I are back. Xiajin, is that my godson's name? Mu Niankai became excited. What a cute name. Tanguo said with her face in her hands, looking around to see if there was any small figure around. What will the son of Yu Lingfeng and Xia Ying be like? They were all looking forward to it. Where did Xiajin go? Is he here today? Ye Xiaoxun also looking forward to it. Xia Ying saw them all suddenly so excited and smiled. Xiajin went to buy candy. Buying candy alone. Ye Xiaoxun blinked, a little in disbelief, but isn't Xiajin only 5 years old? Xia Ying covered her mouth and smiled. That kid has been living independently since he was 3 years old. He looks like a little adult, and I'm not allowed to follow him. Speaking of Xiajin, Xia Ying's face was filled with a happy smile, and she couldn't hide it. Ha ha ha, he combines the advantages of you and Yu Lingfeng, he must be a little prodigy. Tanguo said with a smile. He is almost carved from the same template as Yu Lingfeng. Xia Ying smiled as she recalled the little boy who liked to keep a straight face like his father since he was a child. Xiaojin has been a curious baby since he was a child. He likes to read books and ask questions about why. As soon as he could speak, he began to learn to read, and now he can read various phonetic versions of books. Xiajin has always disdained playing with babies of the same age. In his words, those are just children and too childish. But it is obvious that he is only a 5-year-old child. What Xiajin likes to do most is to ponder some inexplicable things alone. Xia Ying thought that Yu Lingfeng must have been like this when he was a child, so when he was 18 years old, he created a super excellent intelligence like 11 Ju. Wow, when you grow up, you will definitely be a person that drives thousands of girls crazy. Although Mu Niankai hasn't met anyone yet, based on Xia Ying's description, she has already begun to have a rough idea in her mind. Does Xiajin like music? Tanguo asked. My mother is a talented girl in the music industry. Anyway, she should be able to inherit some genes in this area. I kept listening to music for him when he was still in my belly after he was born. He also liked music very much. He also has a good sense of music and learns things quickly. He is indeed a little genius. When it comes to Xiaojin, Xiaoying does not hesitate to praise her. Although it sounds like Wang Po is selling melons, Xiaojin is really a little prodigy. Yu Lingfeng, my son must be as smart as his father. Xiaojin, hey, you bad guy. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1480. Chapter 1480 Extra Chapter of Xiaofeng and His Wife, 5. Tisk, on the importance of genes. Mu Niankai sighed thoughtfully, and then thought of her 2-year-old daughter who was still arrogant, and suddenly felt tired. Dandian is also very smart. Yeziaksun turned away and looked at Mu Niankai and said, when you grow up, you might be the second Xiaoying. Xiaoying hurriedly asked, Dian? Nian Qi, do you have a child too? Mu Niankai scolded, yeah, who told you not to contact me all the time, otherwise you could see Dian. Xiaoying smiled sheepishly. Okay, she was still sleeping when I went out, so I didn't bring her here. I'll bring it to you next time. Dandian looks very cute. Tanguo said with a smile. She is Nian Qi's daughter after all. We haven't seen each other for many years, and when we start chatting, we can't stop talking. At this time, in the supermarket, this little boy dressed like Conan was carefully selecting his candies on the shelves with a serious face. Because he was not tall enough, he stepped on a small stool to load his plastic bag. The waiter on the side was refused help many times, so he had to watch over him, fearing that something would happen to him. Such a handsome little boy, just like a little angel, attracted the attention of many people in the supermarket. Of course, while everyone cast their astonished glances, they also wondered which parent was so big-hearted as to let such a young child go out to the supermarket alone. If you were kidnapped and trafficked, how heartbreaking it would be. It is said that when passers-by looked at her like this, they wanted to steal the child. Even though he looks cute and handsome, the little guy is also wearing the same style as Conan. He is like a little angel from the comics. All that's missing is a pair of small wings. Pineapple candies, banana candies, corn candies, there are also chocolate candies here. Mommy likes chocolate candies, please get more. Xiaojin was putting candies into her plastic bag, mumbling something with her pink and tender mouth. Xiaonai's voice makes people melt. After Xiaojin finished buying candies, she saw the book counter not far away. Thinking that she was almost finished reading her books, she ran over with her short legs to see if there were any books she was interested in. As soon as Xiaojin passed by, she heard that there was a lot of noise. It was obviously a reading place, but why were there so many people around, most of them girls? After getting closer, Xiaojin could hear clearly that they seemed to be talking about so-and-so being so handsome. Xiaojin had an indifferent look on her face, without even looking at the crowd. She relied on her height advantage to walk directly through the crowd. Xiaojin raised her head and looked at the rows of book catalogs. The Mystery of the Universe. Xiaojin muttered when she saw an inconspicuous book in the top row, and her eyes lit up. Seems quite interesting. Xiaojin tugged on the pants of a man who was reading a book and stared at the man with a pair of clear, watery eyes. Uncle, could you please help me get that book? The moment the man raised his head, the crowd suddenly became restless. Oh my God, I'll just say that the one with a straight face is more handsome. Oh my God, what kind of divine appearance is this? Wait a minute, this one is bigger and the smaller one, why is it like copying and pasting to zoom in and out? In the Lifetime series, aren't the looks of the father and son too good? Xiaojin saw the man's originally expressionless face. After seeing herself, he was first shocked, then the corners of his mouth raised, and his stern eyes became much gentler. He knelt down, reached out and pinched Xiaojin's cheek, and asked gently, "Kid, where is your mother?" Xiaojian, why do you want to find me? End of this chapter.